And there you have it. Welcome to the Chris and Mike Show, ladies and gentlemen. Chris will be along momentarily. He has a project he has to finish up real quick, but we're going to welcome Sean Martin, and he's going to enlighten us on all things music, I'm going to guess, and among other things.
As much as I can. Yeah, sure.
Well, we were having a great conversation before we got started, and I heard Chris in the back of my head saying, "You can hit record anytime. Golden moments. We're losing valuable information here." So I already know that you like to talk music, and I'm going to assume you're a guitar player.
Yes, yes. Guitar player and vocalist. Yeah.
Okay, I read that in
And
your.
audio engineer too, and
Me
executive
too.
producer.
We have a
Yeah,
lot of
yeah.
things in common.
Yeah, absolutely.
Do you have a way to turn your? I should have told you this before. Do you have a way to turn your volume up just a little bit, or get closer to
Yeah.
your microphone,
Yeah.
or
Let
both?
me let me try to bring this up a little bit. How about now? Is
That's
that
way
better?
better, dude. Yeah, and just
There
stay
we go.
close to your mic so we can hear you.
Okay, sure. Yeah, absolutely.
So, what got you started in music, and what I started at 9 years old playing guitar. So, I kind of never quit from there and decided that I wanted to try it for a living for a while. And I started that journey at 18 in Chicago, and then I moved to Phoenix, and I was 19 then. I met Chris shortly afterwards, and we started Nemesis, and that's how we came to do this podcast, as we've said a lot of times. But these are, some of these are standalone ones, so I try and make sure that everybody understands why we're here. We are talking music. What got you started, man?
So it was community choirs when I was 4 years old, actually. So
Okay, hold
you know,
on.
I
Let
s-
me interrupt you real quick. It was
sure.
bell choir for me at church. I forgot. I
Yeah,
played in the bell choir, man. Thank you. Go on.
yeah, um, yeah. So I was doing. Then I was doing opera at 7. I was one of the little kids in an opera production for the Mendocino Music Festival one year.
Wow.
And then at 12, I picked up the guitar and started learning. The first song that I learned was Green Day, "Time of Your Life,"
Awesome.
and then the second song I learned was "Crossroads" by Cream. And then the third song that I learned was "Purple Haze" by Jimi Hendrix. And then after that, it was all Metallica and Green Day, Pennywise, uh, you know, Linkin Park. When they came out, especially, I was learning a lot of their stuff.
So great.
Um,
Awesome
yeah,
band.
yeah. And I would always play the classics. I would always play Zeppelin and Sabbath, and um, you know, I definitely loved um, Boston a hell of a lot more when I was much older, but um, but when I was young, I mean, it was a lot of straightforward, especially like Nine Inch Nails when they were coming out. Like they were really big. Sublime, um,
I think you and I
of
would have
course,
got along
Crush,
great
Nirvana. Yeah,
because
probably.
it sounds like I was the same way. I liked everything that was good, but different than what was going on. Like Sublime wasn't what was going on at the time, but that album was huge.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they were
There's a
really
bunch of bands
considered like
after
dirty.
them that tried to be them, but they were the originators of that music. Just like Rage Against the Machine was the originator of that style of music, and then along comes Limp Bizkit. We had a
Yeah,
legendary DJ on here on the last episode on Friday, and he reminded us of that.
yeah,
Not that Limp Bizkit's a bad band, but it's a commercial product byproduct of Rage Against the Machine. You can't argue that at all.
yeah, yeah. Absolutely, I would agree. Yeah, coming from that, they were trying to ride the fad of having a DJ in your rock music, and that goes back as well. You can take it back to Aerosmith and Run DMC back in the day. You
Sure,
know, um,
but at
but
least
the
they
but
got
when it
credit
really
for it.
became a genre, yeah, that's when it really became a genre and a hook and a whole group of people doing it, not just, oh, look at this one cool thing that we did this one time. You know?
Right. And boy, did that work.
Yeah,
That's what you call
yeah,
overwhelming success.
yeah,
But the
exactly.
Pennywise, the Sublime, what else did you mention? There was another one.
Um,
How about like COC? Did you listen to Corrosion?
oh yeah, yeah. I listen to Corrosion and Conformity. Yeah, they're from around the same. I think they're from around Sacramento, if I'm not mistaken.
I think you're probably correct. I don't know, to be honest with
Yeah,
you.
it was not. They were not far. Like I remember them even being mentioned, like and people going, oh, we're gonna go to the Corrosion Conformity, show and stuff. Even when I was young, and then as well when I was in music school, I had many of my friends who were very, very much fans of theirs. Yeah,
And for
I
the
like a lot
people
of their
that
stuff.
don't know who Corrosion of Conformity is, they would be a musician's musician band. Like a band like Metallica looks up to Corrosion of Conformity still to this day. They would bow down to them as just doing it their own way with such a unique sound. I have a producer friend of mine who said individually, those are two of the worst guitar tones in the history of the universe until you blend them together, right? And then it's that beautiful sound that you hear. And by beautiful, if you don't like distorted guitars, ladies and gentlemen, you will not like Corrosion of Conformity. But it is such a wall of sound, right?
Yeah,
And he knows
yeah,
those
absolutely.
guys personally. He just said it takes such a horrible, in his opinion, a horrible individual sound to create that blend.
Yeah, yeah, it makes sense. Yeah, like you've got to figure out how it fits into the entire what I would say is the envelope of the song, the envelope of the sound. So
Sure.
at any given moment, even though it may be a kind of sound, it still fits in somewhere
It
because
belongs
the
there
tonality.
sonically, right?
Right. Yeah, and because there's still a tonality and a modality in the sound of the music that keeps it all in key, and so the things out of key also say something, and that's really where the artistry of metal really comes through. That sometimes a lot of people miss is that it's not just about the correct notes you play; it's also about the weird notes that bring emotion through.
I'm really good
That's
at
the
those,
point.
dude,
Right.
because
Yeah. All the weird ones. And
I
yeah,
don't
when
know
it's,
enough. I know, how do I want to say this? I know enough theory to get myself in trouble, right?
yeah.
I developed my own sound. I got lucky in that I found my voice on the guitar before I was technically done learning it, right?
Yeah.
But I think that's such a great way of putting it. I've never thought about that. It's all those oddball things that I do that were near and dear to people's heart because a technically trained musician would not do such a stupid thing, right?
Right.
But
Right.
it fit
Exactly.
with what I was doing. And like you said, Chris's voice was very unique, and I was able to play with that musically. I could do things on the guitar that were counter to what he was singing for a melody, right? And now you
Yeah.
have that harmony of the guitar and the voice together. You just described something. I painted a picture in my head as you were talking. It's like that's exactly what we were doing was fitting ourselves into the song. But we were too
Yes.
stupid to know what we were really doing, right?
But you could emotionally feel it, and that's why you
Or
get it done
somebody would
there.
say, I'm not trying to hurt your feelings but that doesn't work there, right? Something's weird about how it sounds. That's how they would always say it. And you can't argue with that. It's like, yeah, you're right. It's weird.
Hmm. Yeah, but sometimes going through those aspects of it. I mean, sometimes it's the constructive criticism that needs to be had for the moment, but at the same time, Jimi Hendrix would say, "No, I meant to do that."
Exactly.
So, you can. But when you've got a stylistic way of, you know, doing the kind of things on the fretboard that make it speak. That's the kind of little bits that I'm talking about adding in. And in fact, you were doing it. You were doing a stylistic version when I stepped on of Eddie Van Halen. So
True.
when you're adding in
True.
those little bits into what to you is just normal, rote mechanics, then just that little bit will give someone something to look forward to and to listen forward to.
Right.
Sometimes we as musicians have to remember that a lot of times that's all that it really takes. You don't need to put the whole bottle of salt on there to get someone to understand that you have command of salt. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
Ladies and
sometimes
gentlemen,
just a little bit truly
Chris
does
Dunham.
go a long way.
Sorry, brother.
Sure.
He
Did
might
it
be-
freeze up?
No, he's back now. I can hear it.
Okay.
There you go. He was froze up.
Hello. Hello, Command of Salt.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Chris Dunham.
Right.
Welcome.
Right,
brother.
right. How are you? Sorry for the
You're fine,
the
man.
delay, and then I gotta sneak away again at 4:30 because I gotta shut the other port so I don't flat out my neighbor.
As you can hear, we were nerding
But
out
you
on
know,
music.
Mike has
so-
under control. You were nerding out on guitar because when I first came on, I heard Sean saying you were wee wee wee. I'm like, oh, guitar talk,
And he's an audio engineer,
Which
and
is
he's a
awesome.
singer. So you have things
Oh!
in common with him as well. So yeah,
Nice.
absolutely.
right on, right on.
He's a musician's musician.
Cool. That's fantastic. Mike likes talking guitar talk, and that's something I cannot do for him. So it's fun when we have somebody on that can, nerd out with guitars, man. That's awesome, Sean.
But he is
in
real
this
good at
I'll
going-
be able to do both. I can talk about vocal stuff too. It's also a very important
Yeah.
aspect of everything that I've been doing since I was very young is integrating
Right on.
The breathing exercises because they
Cool.
match up to the same breathing exercises that you do as coping mechanisms for panic attacks.
Oh no shit.
Yeah, so when
Right
you're,
on.
so when you're practicing becoming a better singer by doing the diaphragmatic breathing exercises,
Yeah.
guess what? You're also training your body how to get over panic attacks.
No, I did not know that.
Yeah,
That's crazy. That's crazy. And since I never had panic attacks, I can just store that in my wheelhouse. Okay.
exactly.
It's been a while
Yeah.
since I did. It's been a while since I did all the breathing exercises and stuff. But I remember doing all that stuff because I had voice lessons throughout my tenure as a singer. Because you gotta, your voice is like everything else, right? It's an instrument. You got to treat it right. You got to take care of it. You got to work it out. And a lot of people don't get that, which I think is kind of funny.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a very detailed thing, It's
Yeah.
for me. I've lost my voice 3 or 4 times already, and I've been
Wow.
able to bring it back because of the things that I learned from the people that I trained under. And like
That's
that
cool.
was, and I remember the teacher telling me, this is what I'm training your voice to do, so that when these things
Okay.
happen, you can feel how to bring it back instead of just knowing how to bring it back. And
Right on.
that was like some of the most invaluable things, how to open up the registers and the resonances in each of the different spots where the voice usually comes from: your throat, your nose, the front
Yeah.
of your mouth, and your chest.
Right. That's cool, man.
Yeah.
That's very cool. I was in shape enough from a vocal standpoint when my last band I was in, we went to Nashville. And the first day we were there, I thought it was all scratch vocals. Like I thought we were just recording the music and stuff. And we did 4 songs in 12 hours with like an hour lunch break. And I sang the entire time. And I talked fine the next day. And then when we were done with the 4 song, the producer's like, okay, we got 4 songs down. And I'm like, well, I got to do the vocals. He's like, you did the vocals. I was like, what? And he took the best version of every song I sang and just
That's a good part.
without knowing, which I thought was kind of cool. Cause then there was absolutely no pressure on me at all. I thought I was just scratch recording. So they were following along with the music. And then we were going to come back the next day. I was lay down the tracks and he's like, no, you're done. Like, okay. The hell are we going to do tomorrow?
Yeah.
I think
You
legend
know?
has it that's how Stranglehold got recorded too.
Really?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the first take he did, and he did many more takes after that and never liked anything as good as that. Eruption's the same way. They did that. to
No
Eddie.
shit.
Same trick they did.
Huh.
To you. We're just
That's
warming
crazy.
up. Can you play that thing you've been playing?
Wow.
And Eddie always hated it because he said there's a mistake at the top of Eruption that
Really?
bothered him. But the rest
Wow.
of it, I guess, was the best. And back then, you didn't have the option of, I don't know, maybe they weren't cutting tape then or something.
That's interesting. I
Or
never
maybe
knew that.
It was in a spot where you couldn't cut too. There's so many
Yeah.
notes on a guitar. Yeah, when you tell that
Yeah.
story, I always think of those 2 stories: Eddie's Eruption, and I'm pretty sure Stranglehold's the first take too.
Wow.
Yeah.
Kind of like Stairway to Heaven, first take.
Yep.
Yeah.
Of course, people don't understand if you're not a musician. They don't understand what well-versed musicians Led Zeppelin was leading up to becoming Led Zeppelin.
Jimmy Page played on over half of the recordings that came out of Europe from like
Right.
1940 something to the early mid 1950s.
Yeah, and then and
John Paul Jones, same way.
Yep. Studio musicians that just nonstop just played and played and played and played. It's kind of like with the Beatles. A lot of people don't
Hold
understand
on,
the Beatles.
Before you go on to
okay,
that,
okay,
think
okay,
about Led
okay.
Zeppelin. I just
Yeah.
thought of this. You got 2 of the best studio musicians, arguably in the history
Yeah.
of the world, put
Absolutely.
together with two guys who were playing in a bar band,
Yeah.
and you had
Yeah.
the most magic in rock and roll history. What were you going to say about the
By
Beatles?
I watched. They had a documentary a long time ago. It was like I don't know, 12-hour documentary or something. So you had to watch it in pieces.
Like a Ken Burns?
They would play like legit, like 6-hour shows.
Yes.
They would just play nonstop. They would
Yep.
just play, and after song after song after song, which nowadays, I mean, aside from rehearsals, right? But they would actually be in front of crowds just playing, like these elaborated, lengthy shows. And you probably know this too, Sean. When you're on stage with your band in front of a crowd, that's like 10 practices in one. Because you can't stop. You can't say, "Whoops."
And you can't recreate that setting.
No.
Right. Yeah. It sounds
So
exactly like it's going to sound there, and it's going to be
Right.
that way. Yeah.
Right. So that's the thing with the Beatles and Zeppelin, man. They had their craft down to it, just a T. I mean, it was in their souls and their bones, every fiber, muscle memory. It's just that's why we talked to Paul. We talked to Neanderthal that last show we did, a disc jockey that's been all over the United States, really cool guy. We talked about how Zeppelin it's just timeless. Like it's just timeless. It doesn't matter when it comes on, what era it comes on, what decade, what year. It just sounds like it was just recorded.
Yep. Always.
Yeah.
Which is
Yeah,
cool.
it still grabs you emotionally, regardless
Yeah.
of anything else. And it does the same thing for me. I mean, every time that I hear something on the catalog, and it's one of my favorites, one of the 25 different songs that I can't decide which ones are my favorites.
Right.
It still grabs you, and it still takes you back to that place, but also at the same time, it's still an anthem for something that you would want to do right now.
Right.
Like that's why Black Dog is, I think, the way that it really is, and has become been on everybody's list, from the song that they want to have at their barbecue to the song that Chevy wants to use to promote its new truck. It really spans the generations, and
It does.
It really doesn't matter if it wasn't recorded in Pro Tools. It really doesn't fucking
It
matter.
doesn't.
I don't think
You
it
know.
would have ever sounded the same if it had been. I think it
Right.
I agree with
those
that.
guys' minds of setting John Bonham's drums up in a hallway or whatever they did to
Yeah.
get When the Levee Breaks. And
Uh-huh.
come to find out years later, Jimmy Page mostly used little 8 and 10 watt amps. He wasn't using gigantic Marshalls in there, He was using boutique amps that were small and compact and unique enough that he could blend those sounds together to get a massive guitar sound. And we just established John Paul Jones was a musical and is still a musical genius.
Right.
He's been composing for movies and TV scores and God knows what for 40-some, 50-some years now.
Yeah, it's like Brian May, astrophysicist who plays guitar.
Yeah, just happens to play guitar.
You know,
I think
I
I'm
need something
giving
to fall
the world-
back on. I'm going to play guitar, but I need something to fall back on. So I'm going to be in astrophysics, just in case this doesn't work out.
So think about this real quick, and I promise we'll get on to Sean's story.
Okay.
Mark
Yeah.
Winters did it in reverse. He became like an astrophysicist and then
Right.
a musician.
Yeah. 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 We had this guy that's just insanely genius, man.
So cool.
Yeah. Really cool. Just fun guy. Really fun guy, just for who he is and what he is. Well, yeah. So whatever you guys were talking about when I jumped
We
on,
got up
go
to
ahead.
the point where Sean had become a musician. He's now an
Okay.
audio engineer as well, songwriter, singer.
Nice.
Where did you go from there? Did you start a band? At what point? I think you said you were in your teens by the time you started singing and playing guitar, right? 12 to 19.
Yeah,
Nice.
and I recorded about 10 of the songs that I wrote there, and just really kept them for myself. It was really just for me to accomplish that, because I knew that at that point that I was going to go into the military. So I joined the Airborne Infantry right after my 18th birthday, and went to. I joined up in the 18X program, which was the fast track into Special Forces, and so it required you to go through airborne school, basic training, for infantry, and then airborne school, and then you could decide whether you would go to Fort Bragg, North Carolina, to do the special forces training, or go to a unit at the needs of the army and deploy to Iraq. And then after that, you could request to go to special forces and you would school, and you would get it. So that's essentially what I was on. And when I got to that choice after airborne school, I decided to join. I decided to go to a unit and deploy to Iraq. So I deployed to Iraq in 2006 with the 3rd of the 509th Airborne Infantry Regiment.
Thank you
Out of
for your
Fort
service,
Richardson,
by the way.
Alaska. Oh, thank you. I appreciate your support.
Absolutely.
And so, the deployment was a crazy one. It was not fucking normal at all. And a lot of strange experiences, a lot of combat experiences, a lot of, issues with people who I worked with, issues with the way that the war was being conducted, issues for the reasons why we were there.
So you got there, and all of a sudden things were not kosher for you mentally, or what you were seeing?
No. Like, I had to go through a lot of combat experiences to truly know what was going on. And it wasn't until July or so that of 2007, like after I had been there about 8 or 9 months or so already, that I was even considering not being in the military anymore. It wasn't until the sergeant major who I was working directly under sent me to go do a mission that he knew and was expecting that I was going to die at. And when I didn't die at it and it came back to him, he was thoroughly surprised. And it was after that that I had all of the intel that this happened from the person who I wasn't supposed to interrogate. I was just supposed to watch, but I interrogated them, and I found out that he was a triple agent. It was a long fucking story. But the point of all this is that it made me very, very disillusioned to what the system really was that I was a part of. And then because of that, they gave me a choice. They gave me the golden ticket into Special Forces School, and they said, we'll give you recommendations, or you can get the golden parachute out. And I said, let me go. I don't trust you guys anymore. And so after that, I took my GI Bill and went to music school.
Right on. My son's a Marine. He's getting out in August.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I imagine now it's.
He just decided they couldn't get. It was weird, man. He was looking at all these different MOSs he's going to transfer to because he made sergeant, became a supply chief, wanted to change his MOS. Then Iran happened, and then all the MOSs were no longer available. And I was like, well, dude, think about it. We're at war now, so they probably have to stop the MOS stuff because they're not going to let people move and shit and train them while chaos is going on.
Right.
But yeah, he's bouncing. He's going to be home in August. So
yeah, well, that's good. Good for him.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah, if that's his decision, then that's his decision.
Yeah. We're a little surprised by it.
Well,
but,
oh, really? Why?
What's that?
Why are you surprised by it?
Because all the conversations we had, he was going back to drill instructor school. Then he was going to do another 3 years of that. Once he got done with that, he was going to do a lateral move and get into the fire science aspect of it. And he had reached out to try to get into a program that would allow him to leave, come home for 4 years, and go to school full time. And then once he graduated from ASU, then goes right back into the Corps. But those 4 years count. But then he goes in as an officer. Then he's kind of an untouchable guy, and for lack of a better term, he's going to be a lifer. And then just when he went from one spot to another spot in Pendleton, got the promotion, got the rank up, and then just kind of within 2 weeks span, he's like, I'm out. So that's kind of why it was like, okay, reel it back, man. like what happened? What's the underlying tone here? And then when we had the conversation, it's like, okay, well, make sure you look at all these options and stuff. Just don't knee-jerk react because you're not happy with going from point A to point B, because you know, once you get settled into that new spot and learn all the stuff, then you'll be back, you know, dominating like you've always dominated. He's an accounting, supply, and logistics, so he's not. It's not a infantry guy. He was a backup shipper. So when he went in, he had to fall in line with those three MOSs that kid was going to do. Two he couldn't do because he's color deficient. So it was, you know, those two are accounting, supply, and logistics. So he's 18 years old and had $1 million credit card moving, you know, equipment around the world. You know,
Yeah.
cake job, totally
It is a
cake
good
job.
gig,
Yeah.
for sure.
You know, so you know, as a father, you just, you know, it's that worry, you know, it's that concern. Okay, what are you gonna do? Life is not going to be as easy out here now as this cake job where you get up, you have to go in at 10, you get 2 hours for lunch, then you go back and you're back, you're done in your day by 5, you know, and you're working out in the morning, working out at lunch, that type of thing. So, you know,
Yeah, well,
We'll see.
He's lucky though in multiple ways, and it's a little bit of wisdom about things kind of tells me
Yeah.
at least a few things that
Okay.
most likely what is probably going on is that program that he was wanting to get into got ripped
Mm-hmm.
right out from under him because everybody was going to war. And
well,
it's
that's what I'm
because-
saying. So, yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So because of that, because if they take away your future, then
Mm-hmm.
the whole reason of why you were joining is kind of like gone.
Right.
So what the hell's the point
Yeah.
of it? You know, and
Yeah.
he has a job that transfers into the civilian world. He
Correct.
can go to a lot of different companies and
Mm-hmm.
probably get, you know, experience, and they will count the
My company
experience that
would
he
hire
had
me
in the
for sure.
military
Right.
as something that helps him and benefits him for a job. That is not a fucking anywhere near what I had. I had zero. Like when it
Gotcha.
comes back for that kind of shit, for
Yeah.
you know, doing infantry stuff, you don't like the civilian world doesn't get it and they don't understand. You know,
Yeah,
and
yeah.
also the skills and stuff just don't apply to
Right.
the majority of the legal businesses that you can get into in the United
Right.
States. The rest of
Oh,
it is
true.
all pretty much, you know, under the table kind of shit that you again
Mm-hmm.
better decide you're going to be doing this for the rest of your life again, or else
Yeah.
you're going to have some
Yeah.
fucking problems, you know?
Right. Yeah. And when I had told him before that, you know, when he does, like I had a client, I sell houses. So I had a client years ago that his dad had that same MOS in the Marines. He was accounting, supply, and logistics. He spent 20 years in the Marines, got out, went and got a job at City of Phoenix in accounting, supply, and logistics, spent 20 years doing that. He had just retired when I met his son to sell his son a house, double pensions, you know,
Yeah.
double health benefits, double everything because he spent, you know, 18 to 38 as a Marine, 38 to 58 with the City of Phoenix. And, you know, 58 nowadays is 40. You know, I'm 56 years 56 years old and nobody guesses that. You know,
Yeah.
when I was a kid, 56, man, you were fucking in a walker, you know, going to those old, you know, going eating at 4:00 because you had to gum your food and shit.
I literally just read the other day that Archie Bunker was 49 years old when All in the Family started.
Really?
Wow.
That blew me away. So
That is
you
mind-boggling.
just described what we were looking at in a 50-year-old man back then.
Yeah.
A lot
yeah.
of them did look like they were
Yeah.
basically over the hill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be
Yeah,
53.
and now, you know.
Nobody guesses
Right.
my age, so I guess I did
No. How old are you?
right.
How old are you, Sean?
I'm 40.
Okay.
You're
Well,
doing
about to
good
be
too.
40.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were taught never to
Yeah.
trust anybody over 40 when we were 20.
Right.
Now
True
we're 50
story, man.
something. And I don't know where that came from.
And now it's time we don't trust anybody under 40.
Right? Exactly.
Yeah, that
True
sounds about
story. Not really.
It's kind of like
Some of 'em.
it's kind of like you have these realtors on TikTok now. They go viral, right? They have like 23 million views, and they're walking through $10 million houses in Scottsdale and shit, and you know they're thinking they're badass and stuff. You look them up, they've never sold a house in their life, but they're gone viral. Like, oh, I'm gonna go viral. I'm gonna go
Well,
viral
that's how
with this
they're
house.
making their money then. Right?
Yeah, if they're doing it right, yeah, but they're not selling houses. They're, you know, but they're
No,
acting
they're
like they
monetizing
are.
off
You know,
Instagram or
right,
whatever.
right. It's just kind of comical. It's like, okay, you know, viral doesn't give you business. It's a video. Next,
Right.
next. You know,
Yeah.
it's comical.
There's some things that you can get from going viral, but it's
Sure.
not directly like linked or related. It's
No.
essentially the best that you can have as just another feather in your cap in a way.
Right.
And I can guess
Right.
from this, from this guy that, he's looking to get attention onto a specific thing. So the being a real estate agent, I imagine he probably has some budget for it. So he puts a little bit of budget, and he can get a lot of eyes on one particular thing.
Right,
And
but he's never sold anything. So when you're going going forward, it's a chick, by the way, and it's a chick. So when you're going out there, doing that, you're not.
Must be.
There's no experience to back it, and you're going through somebody else's listing, and the way they go by the sign really quick, it's like, whew, because they get away with, oh well, I gave the realtor who has it listed credit. Like, we're really mindful when a 20-year-old tries to show one of my million plus listings, like, hey, why are you showing the listing? Well, I'm going to make a video. Yeah, no, you're not. No, you're not. My seller's not going to appreciate you popping up on TikTok, walking around their house in what you call a dress. Sorry, not happening.
Yeah.
But to each his own, man. I don't care. You do what you got to do, but it just, to me, it's kind of false advertising, because you don't have any knowledge or experience because you've never sold anything. And here you are going to a multi-million, I'm talking, $11, $12 million house in Scottsdale. Look at me, look at me, look at me. And it's like, okay, you don't know the first thing about selling a house, yet here you are walking through somebody's thing. And those type of people, they don't live on TikTok and shit, so they're never going to realize it's there. But if they did, I'm sure the shit would hit the fan, because it's not a proper representation of that lifestyle or that house or that property or what it is. My opinion, obviously.
Well, simply you didn't have their permission.
Right. Yeah, and you have to have permission to advertise somebody else's listing, which is why they just breeze by the sign writer. And, well, that's the guy's name. Yeah, okay.
But here's my point. To Sean's
Yeah.
point, if I were the owner of that property and you came
Yeah.
to me and you said, this kid wants to go viral on Instagram, can he shoot a video? If I had a badass house, I might just say yes, right?
Right.
To get those million views or 2 million views. I just think I agree with the way you're looking at it, because if the seller doesn't say, yes, you can put my house on
Right.
TikTok, most people don't want that done.
Right. That's the problem. They're going through, and we're totally off topic here, but they're going through and they want to show a listing, and then all of a sudden they're there, and then boom, 2 days later shows up, and there's, and then you look them up. It's like, okay, yeah, they didn't have permission because they didn't disclose who it was, and the way they filmed it, and the way they just breezed by the sign. And so I'm sorry, scroll moment.
I'm just going to blame Sean because he got involved, and then I backed him up. So I remember where we were at. You went to audio school on the money that the military gave you for getting out, correct?
Keep talking about audio. I got to go pull the port. So continue the conversation. I'll be right back.
Brother.
Yeah. So
Where'd you go?
At first I decided that I was going to go to Minneapolis, the St. Paul. There's a school there that
I researched almost all of them.
Yeah. So maybe you'll know the name, McNally and Smith.
It sounds familiar. Yeah.
Yeah,
for
they
sure.
they were in St. Paul. So I went there, and I went through the process and everything, and it was all good. And then I was going to go for the audition to the school. And I get there to the audition, and the guy is this very crotchety old, guy who's super pissed off that he has to be there, and is listening to me play, like Voodoo Child and, and I didn't realize McNally and Smith was trying to be like the Western version of Berkeley. Like, they were much more jazz focused than they were like rock or even pop, for that matter. If you liked any of those, you were kind of like not really taken seriously, kind of. So I show up there and doing straight rock and like playing AC/DC and Black Sabbath and Jimi Hendrix and stuff. And they're like, and so the guy was like, you don't belong here. Like, you really shouldn't, you're not going to fit in this. I didn't like anything that you're doing. You only know 2 versions of a pentatonic scale. You don't belong here. And he discouraged me a hell of a lot, so I just wrote it off. And then 2 weeks later, they gave me a call back and were like, hey, why aren't you in classes? And I'm like, because the audition dude told me I didn't fucking belong here, and that I only knew 2 versions of pentatonic scales, and that wasn't enough. And they're like, well, no, like, you can still come. And I'm like, no, if you got people like that at that school, like, I don't really want to go.
No, that would turn me off as well.
Right. Yeah. So I just let it go, and then I looked at Musicians Institute in Los Angeles, and they didn't care that I didn't know everything that I didn't know. They were like, "Yeah, we'll teach you it. That's the whole point of why you're coming here." So they finally had the right attitude, and I was there at a very unique time in the school's evolution, because there was still remnants and of the spirit and like the original founders of some of the programs were still like alive and still there and running around the school and doing open counselings and stuff. So, there was still this this awesome sense of community where the teachers are leading by their example of technique, of leading by their the way that they play, and that's what people are really going after and spending a lot of time to learn. It wasn't, and now it's kind of become a little bit more like everything is multiple choice questions, and there's a whole lot of reliance on, like online quizzes, and it's kind of formulated a little bit much.
I could have been an early adopter of that school because that's one of the ones that I looked at, and I'm 13 years older than you almost. So
Yeah.
that school was not just getting started, but it was becoming the school that you experienced back. Jennifer Batten went through there and ended up playing
Yeah.
for Michael Jackson, and I can't think of everybody that went through there at the time, but
Yeah,
that is one of
Jennifer
the
Batten
places
was-
that I really wanted to go.
Yeah, Jennifer Batten was on one of the boards for a while. Like, she was there at the school for one of the years, like trying to direct it. It was really amazing. Yeah, like there's the a lot of the teachers who were there, stuck it out for a while into the 2000 teens, and some of them are even still there. And they're still, shaping a lot of great guitarists to come out
for
of there.
sure.
And for me, I went through the independent artist program as well. That was centered around giving you a bit of audio engineering and music business to get you the sense of how to release your own music. And it was a very useful program. I did it twice, in fact.
Yeah, because you can make money with those skills.
Right, exactly. And so, as well as taking full-on music business class, I also did the audio engineering program twice as well.
Cool.
And so I got to work on the boards they have there and really get a sense of all of the different positions in a studio and knowing how to do all of them and how they all apply to the artist, because I knew I was going to be the artist, but I wanted to be the artist that knew
Me too.
what the expectations of the other people in the room were, so that I
That was
wasn't
super important to me too, Sean.
yeah, like so that I know who the fuck I'm even talking to,
How to
and
record
who to
drums.
ask the right questions to, so
You
that I
know,
get
what-
the right results.
What are drums supposed to sound like? What is the bass supposed to sound like? Because it's not the same as when you're in a concert venue, right? Those are two different thought
Right.
processes. Studio is
Right.
a controlled environment. What kind of song are we recording? Rock, country, rap, pop? All those are different recording mentalities. So I'm with you, man. That's really cool. I like where your thought process was.
Yeah, and I even took live sound classes multiple times in multiple different with multiple different kinds of boards. It was really, really expansive. I really tried to capture it from every different aspect that I could, so that every single bit having to do around music that was going to be happening in front of me in the future, because I knew music was all I was going to do. I wanted to be able to have something to do with it, to at least know a little bit about it. And eventually, once I graduated in 2012, I had a temporary psychotic breakdown, and
Oh, I've
I've been
eventually,
there too, brother.
yeah,
I
yeah,
have.
Wow.
yeah. I think more and more that people talk about these things, we find that it's much more
That's common.
common for people to
I
understand.
didn't mean this comment. I don't mean to be flippant like that, but yeah, you know.
No, it's
yeah.
much more common than people
And I
understand.
feel
Yeah,
bad
yeah.
saying it because mine was drug induced and yours was serving our country, I'm sure.
Well, yeah, mine wasn't drug induced, but it was as a result of not dealing with the emotions of everything that was taking my nervous system completely off on a just on a tangent, you know. So I would be subject to whatever my nervous system wanted to take me out into, based off of anything that was going on around me. And when I'm living in Los Angeles at that time, and you know, there's there's a whole lot of things that will trigger you. You know, like it's, and that way, because I didn't know how to deal with any of this, it was just, I was just being taken. And so I could never really focus on anything. And my life was just becoming more and more of a shamble and less of a journey.
Do you see what I see, Mike?
Yeah. I knew. We're sorry to interrupt you. That was
Yeah,
our band- that was our
I
band
heard
name.
you guys reference that you guys had a band named Nemesis. Well, I have a song named Nemesis, friend of mine. Yes.
He's got the evidence right there. Right.
I like to troll photos where our guests talk because it's just, it shows, you know,
It
it's
shows
visual.
how the universe is all cohesive, right?
Yes.
Look at that full circle moment.
Right.
Right,
That's pretty
right.
cool, man. Yeah. Keep talking. Keep
You're
talking.
Yeah.
fine, man. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah. So let's see, where was I?
You were at the end of your psychotic break dealing
Oh,
with
right,
Yes.
right. Okay. So, yes. So after that happened, I had some friends reach out to me and they were like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And I was like, "I've been stalking the streets of Los Angeles for the last 3 days. I don't know where the fuck I'm at. Come pick me up." And they were like, eventually talked me into, you need to start asking for help. You can't do this all the time. This is, you're meant
Yeah.
for so much more than this. And so I'm looking at losing everything, and you know, eventually, you know, I did and became homeless for a while in Los Angeles, and only for a short period of time was I really truly on my own, and homeless.
Me too, it was about
And I
a
was
month.
lucky because there was an inpatient clinic that I eventually got selected into once I was in the psych ward at the West LA VA. And I was selected to go and do this program that they were calling FOB Hollywood, which was an inpatient clinic for veterans with PTSD, combat veterans. Everybody in there had experienced some kind of combat experience that was significant to have them all have a diagnosis of PTSD. So everybody in there is going and fighting the same battles from some different other form or another. We're all fighting the same battles.
Yeah.
And it was in this beginning that the band still stuck with me. They were like, "You're going to be in here, but you know what? We're still going to be making content. We're still
That's
going to
cool.
try at your
That's
speed.
so cool, dude.
Whenever you want to, as much as we can, we'll do it." And they stuck with me all the way and completed our album, Antiquate Hate,
Nice.
that we were all ready to release. In 2016, we worked with Charlie Waymeyer in Los Angeles, who recorded it all. And we had George G1 Archie, who did the final mixing and mastering. And he was the audio engineer for Death Row Records in its day.
Wow.
Oh.
And he brought a really awesome way to make the rap and rock music really mix together. So it's not really relying on that new metal edge, but still more organically, because the soul of it is really connected. And that's what we were
That's
going
awesome.
after. And I think we accomplished that with that record. However, we had a manager at the time who tried to steal the record at distribution.
Oh.
It was super fucked up. So
Yeah.
that management still had claimed its copyright on Spotify. And
Wow.
it was really fucking ridiculous. And it took me a long time to undo it. But once I realized that's what was going on, I had to kill the whole record. 5
That
years.
sucks.
Oh, my
Everything
That
that I had gone
sucks.
through, all of that, you know, coming from,
Yeah.
these are some of the pictures that we had from it. They were
I figured.
golden pictures. For the
Yeah,
time,
dude.
Yeah.
they were fucking golden.
The pictures
And
he's been
it-
scrolling through are amazing.
Yeah, this one is more recent. This was taken at the Wheelhouse in Colorado.
Okay. But these up
yeah,
here,
like,
these up here were back in LA during
yeah,
that time.
with the guys there,
Okay.
up in the
Yeah.
up in the corner there.
Yep.
Yeah, like whenever they're whenever those Caspers and Alex are in there, that's from that era.
Okay. Cool.
And it was such an amazing experience to go through all of it. And you know, it really ended up getting taken from them as much as it was taken from me.
Yeah.
And
That
after
sucks.
that, both of them were immigrants. And at
Oh,
that time
no
in
shit.
2016, 2017, there was a whole lot of serious issues with immigrants being in the United States. And with the music that we're releasing,
Yeah.
we didn't, like, nobody knew. So at some point we had to be like, look, their lives were pulling them apart. It wasn't just the emotionality of the moment. It was their lives pulling them apart. Their life,
Yeah.
my life pulling myself apart. With that let down, I also was going through a divorce. I had to leave Los Angeles entirely. Like,
Gotcha.
everything was crashing down horribly in that area. And it was one of those times when it's like, man, maybe this is the end. And
Did
I
you
just had
write?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay, cool.
I wrote a lot.
Just the writer, the lyricist in me. Did you write? Did you write through all that?
Yeah, of
Because I
course
mean,
you
I'm sure there was some great lyrics and songs and poems and journaling
Yeah.
during all the chaos, man.
Yeah, I still remember everything very, very well.
That's good.
Draw from all that stuff. What I tried to do was what I ended up doing is I left Los Angeles at that point and I went to Florida. And when I was in Florida, there's
That's
a
not much of a
large baseball community.
That's a big fucking move, man.
Oh man, I did it in 38 hours. I drove.
Wow.
Like, you guys want some stories? That's some motherfucking stories, all right? So driving from Los Angeles, like, for 18 hours straight, lands you in somewhere around like Katy, Texas. All right.
Okay.
And I did
Yeah.
the southern route. I think is through around where you guys are at. And
Okay.
you
Where
guys
he's
may
at.
know.
I'm in Arizona, Bison, Pontiac, Illinois.
I'm in Illinois.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah. You,
I'm
around
in-
Arizona. Yeah.
Yeah.
So there was. Well, maybe I can't tell the story, but the idea is that Border Patrol still has a spot where they take over the entire highway on that area,
Yep. Still do
and it's
to
very
this day.
important. Yeah, it's still very important for people to realize that that's there. Is what I'll say
Yep.
when you travel from California. Okay,
Public
very
service
important because we're live. That's what I'm just.
Well,
aware.
I'm thinking that Sean, we got to have you on a Friday because Fridays we have unlimited time because I missed some of your story obviously from doing what I had to do with my water irrigation, but yeah, I could see us going down so many different paths just talking to you right now.
Oh yeah.
But keep going, We still have time.
So it
I
gets you
agree with
around
you,
Katy, Texas. I'll fast forward to going around Katy, Texas, and
Okay.
there's this town. I don't know what town it is, but when I got there, I got to this Motel 6. After 18 hours of travel, I look like hell, but I'm wearing my AC/DC T-shirt and ripped jeans and
Okay.
combat boots. And when I walk out, this is like a Sunday. Everybody's in their
Okay.
khakis and pastel shirts. Like everybody is looking like they are straight out of the Stepford Wives, and I'm like. I am gonna get lynched here. Like this is gonna be
Yeah.
bad. And so
Yeah.
I asked
Yeah.
the person at the front of the desk of the Motel 6 who has nose rings and piercings and looks totally goth. I'm like, is it okay here? It's like, I'm gonna be, and she's like, oh yeah, I'm way worse than you are. You don't need to worry about a thing. You'll be fine. It's like, oh okay. So I went to the barbecue, and lo and behold, everybody's fine with it. But I was really scared for a second there, because everyone looks so just over the top together, but that's just how they look on Sunday, man. That's Texas, and that shit.
That's
weirded me the
crazy,
fuck
man.
out. Like I'd never seen anything like that, But that's small town Eastern Texas for you.
Wow.
And so from there, I did another 18 hours straight to Tampa.
Wow.
From there, and it was like by the time I got to Florida, and that warm air is hitting you, it doesn't matter if you're that tired and you're trying to keep yourself awake. That warm
Right.
air is good. It doesn't matter if it's blowing in your face. It's still going to make you want to pass out. So after that, I think I slept for a solid, another 18 hours after that. It was one of the most intense road trips I've ever done, but I absolutely needed to do it.
We're kindred spirits, man. Let's get to where
Yeah.
we're going
Yeah.
now.
Yeah. Fuck it. We're going. Yeah.
I
I don't
came
care.
back
Yeah.
here from Arizona for a 2-week vacation, and almost 16 years later, I'm still here. So
Yeah.
That's how I operate as well. I got to stay.
Yeah. Well, for me, I had I still knew that I had to deal with the issues that were still a part of me and how I got to the place of where I was without anything that I've been working for the last 6 or 7 years or so. So I around in Tampa, there's a large baseball community, and
Yeah.
I leaned into that. I started playing
Oh.
baseball more and more. Started
Right on.
pitching and working on all the
Cool.
different types of pitches that I could throw. Working on my curveball and my changeup and the circle change, and trying to get every different aspect that I could to just get myself not focused on playing music like I had been, but to grow into something more
Yeah.
than what I had been, because
Man,
that's
we're
what
on
I
the same
needed
journey,
to be.
dude.
Right. Yeah. and how I did it was I took all of everything that I had and that was going on, and put it into therapy and put it into baseball, and slowly brought myself back into mixing, and slowly brought myself back into playing just music whenever I really felt like I needed to. So I really
Nice.
started connecting to it and not like making it into something that I had to do, which is
job.
kind of what it was looking at before. We were signed to a sub major
Yeah.
of Sony, and like the pressure of that was coming up from this record was, was big. It was a big deal for us, but we were expecting big things from it, and it
Well,
just
you
turned
just
out to
said
be
it, Sean.
big. We just ended up getting kneecapped. From
There's
it,
a
so it's hard
time
to take
when
that.
there's a time when you can't say I don't want to play today. You know,
Yeah.
Yeah.
if you're doing it professionally, there's no calling in sick. There's no saying I'm not going to do that gig. I'm not going to go to that recording session. You have to. That's your job.
Right. Right. And I wanted to avoid that in myself. I wanted to not build that habit. I wanted to give myself find the real connection that I have to it in the growing person that I was becoming, the learned person that I was becoming every day, because I'm focusing on being the eternal student all the time.
Just to
I've
make it
always
fun
gotta
again.
keep learning.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I took the time and I wrote and compiled and recorded a version to Normalcy. But it took me about 3 years through the pandemic. I went to multiple different, and even while a version to Normalcy was in its infancy, of just being tracks that I recorded and mixed myself, and I still knew they weren't good enough. But at this time, I also went on an open mic tour. That's what I call it. But essentially, I drove across the country again and stopped at open mics whenever I could, just to meet as many different kinds of people I could who were trying to do the same kind of stuff as me. And I ended up meeting some really, really awesome people and seeing some really awesome music communities across the U.S. And it gave me hope to realize that we may just feel like we're in some kind of isolated pocket, but there is truly, when you're around all of the people who are really going after the same thing that you are, it's really easy to become inspired.
Just
And
talking
it's-
to
it's
you
a
and
really
knowing somebody
beautiful
else
thing.
went through what I went through, right?
Right.
And
Yeah.
vice versa. Yeah, I heard you say it too. I went through the same thing, just in a different way. Just to know that you're not alone in knowing that you lost your mind, that you were put in a position you never intended to be in. It helps to know that you're not the only one that's ever been there, right? I felt like such a
Right.
failure that I pretty much gave up more times than I'd like to admit, but I'm still here. So
Right. Failure is just learning.
Yeah.
Failure is truly, if you learn from it, then truly
Yep.
it's not a failure.
Well, I've always told my kids it's not how you fall, it's how you get back up. Everybody falls.
Right.
absolutely.
You know?
Yeah. And the more and more
It's,
that
you know.
instills into everyone, including the younger generation, the better the
Yep.
world is going to become.
Yep. Yep.
So true, man.
Absolutely,
So true.
man.
Yeah. So I knew that I had a version to Normalcy, and after the working with Plaid Dog Records to create Instagram Hell and One Last Chance. And One Last Chance is much more of like a R&B kind of song that it's very, very different from the majority of the quarantine stuff. But I wanted to create that R&B kind of feel, like we're using organ and shit, like we're
Awesome.
really getting into
Right
it.
on.
We're still using a kind of, I'm still adapting a rock lick
Cool.
into a more R&B kind of setting with One Last Chance. For me, it's actually much more akin to the Beatles than it is anything else.
Nice.
'Cause so I highly recommend people go and listen to it. But the newer music that we've released, Aversion to Normalcy, is when I decided to take what I had with Aversion to Normalcy wasn't good enough. I knew that I didn't meet the requirement that I needed for the music to be as good as it possibly could be. I knew that I failed in that. But I knew that if I took it to the right people, they could make it what it needed to be. So I took it to Nashville,
Nice.
and I took it to Blackbird Studios, and with Nathan Yarborough, who has done albums with Hailstorm,
Ooh.
Evanescence,
Yeah.
Alice in Chains,
Nice.
Korn, like all of the bands from like I was on a show now where they're like music hasn't really been haven't been any really good stuff since like 2005, and I'm like, man, all of those bands that Nathan worked with are all putting out music past
Yeah.
2005. So yeah, there's a ton
Hailstorm's
of good
amazing.
music.
Yeah,
like
yeah,
they
they are.
really
Yeah.
they're
She
really
fucking
bringing it
rocks.
like all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah, like
Uh-huh.
Lizzie Hale is off the charts with what she's able
Yep.
to do. It's really
Yep.
really impressive just to see her play live, but let alone on the records. Like it's
Yeah.
awesome. So I knew that Nathan could capture everything that I'd be trying to put it down because he's already done it before.
Yeah.
So when
that's
I
cool.
brought it all to him and he was ready to go, and I'd already recorded this 3 or 4 times, so I get in the studio and he's like, "Dude, you're one take Jake all the time. Damn, what what the hell is this shit?" No, we had set 4 hours to do guitars. You'd knocked them out in 2. What the hell's the matter with like?
Yeah,
Are we missing
yeah.
anything? Like what's
Yeah.
the matter with me? So it's very fun to have these, to really sit with an expert who knows that he's still doing the same eternal student kind of mentality that I am.
Yeah.
And it was such a great thing to see the place that I was missing with mixing was really just in my mentality and my approach. It wasn't the technical knowledge. Just I wasn't thinking about all of the different elements of a mix. And it was so great to see that I was much closer than I thought that I was. But I still know know that any great record that I'm going to put out, I'm going to use Nathan or somebody of his excellence or better.
That's cool.
It's got to be that way so that the quality remains that high. But I'm still going to try, and I'm still going to be working on my album Bedroom Inc., which is all an album of covers, but it's something that we put our own spin on these different covers, and so I'm mixing them myself. I'm starting to bring them up into it,
Right on.
to be ready to go. So we've got Aversion to Normalcy. We did and once that album came out, we had a really crazy response. We just crossed 1 million streams for
Sweet.
the album as a whole.
Congratulations,
about-
man. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
That is.
Thank you. Yeah, we went through a few different avenues to try and build up the streams. And what I've come to find with these numbers is that it's more of a reflection of your marketing efforts and less of how good your art really is. There's a lot of times that
yeah,
musicians
I
think
could
that
see
because I
that.
don't have a lot of fans right now, that says something about the value of my art, and it truly does not at all, not anymore. And you really need to stop doing that to yourself if you're
Yeah.
doing that to yourself. I found that the numbers now are a reflection of the marketing efforts that you put into it, and a lot of times that's marketing money. That's why the numbers for these other artists are so high, is because they have
They spend the
large
money.
marketing budgets. Yeah.
Yep.
So there are ways in which you can go about doing it your own self, but it's also important to adjust your expectations when you do that. Because
Yeah.
I've done it both. I've tried to release a record on my own and do it on my own, and then I've paid subject matter experts to place it in where it needs to be and to do the things that it needs to do, so that the algorithm works, not just what I think should happen,
Right.
Right.
not just how
Yeah.
I think it should look, but what the algorithm needs it to look like, so that it gives it to everybody else.
Yeah.
And when you just sort of take that sort of adjustment to it, instead of I'm giving up all my creative freedom, then it becomes a lot more palatable when the good things start happening, and then a lot of people start seeing it. So that was a fun journey to go on my own, to start realizing that the authenticity that I have of who I am can transfer into this medium of social media, even though it seems like it can't or it won't. I'm not exactly like, you know, some of the best streamers. So that obviously means I don't have a place. That's not how this shit works either. You can forge your own place when you go about doing it the right way, because there's a process to everything.
Sure.
So once I took that mentality and with this record has pointed me and orientated me in that direction, I've started to open up a whole bunch of different avenues to make creation work for me so that it stimulates the revenue streams. And then when I control all of the revenue streams, then that becomes an artist-centric business model instead of the artist bottom business model, which is we feed up everything to everybody up there and they take our records and they take all of the lion's share and give us what's left.
Yep.
So when we control the levers of command, essentially, the levers of power in this way for ourselves, truly in the music industry, that's when we truly become free and independent.
That's fantastic. That's cool. We got to have you back on a Friday, man.
Absolutely.
I could just talk to you for like 3 hours, like it's 20 minutes.
We'll
Hell yeah.
expand on these stories some more.
Yeah.
We are limited
Yeah.
on Tuesday, so
Yeah.
tell
So look at
everybody
you.
again where they, what your latest
go ahead.
releases are.
Yes.
And where they can find them.
They can find them on Spotify. They can find them on all streaming services. But mainly the Spotify one, you can find us on the quarantine.bandcamp.com. We're on Bandcamp as well, so you can you know, pay for the albums there, give us donations, tips, anything like that. It's all very much appreciated. And streaming, we're on, you know, social medias, TikTok, YouTube, Instagram, and Facebook at The Quarantined.
Yeah. And then obviously thequarantine.com is your website, and all the social media links are on your website as well, correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Yeah. And obviously YouTube channel, etc.
Yes.
Cool. Right on.
I'll
That's
be
Sean Martin of The
subscribing to all
Quarantine.
those right after this.
Yeah, we'll get all that subscribed and give you props, and you know, and then I'll shoot you an email with Fridays, and you pick a Friday that works for you, and we'll get you back on and go deeper down the rabbit hole of Sean Martin and The Quarantine.
Yeah, this was
Fantastic.
a blast.
Sounds
man.
awesome,
I really
dude. Yeah,
enjoyed
let's do it.
talking to you, brother.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me. Yeah.
From the parts that I was available to be present, I enjoyed it as well. I looked at the clock. Holy shit, it's like that. We wrap up every show like this, which I'm sure you'll appreciate considering where you've come from. If you're feeling suicidal, depressed, don't do it. Go for a run, go jog, go journal, go scream in a pillow, go find somebody to talk to. If you cannot find somebody to talk to, text 988. Someone is there waiting to talk to you to help you change your mindset, talk you off that ledge, get you off that cliff. Tomorrow is a much better day with you in it. Don't leave a hole in somebody else's heart because you decide to leave the world before you should. For the Chris and Mike Show, I'm Chris. He's Mike. This is Sean Martin of The Quarantine, thequarantine.com. Go check him out. Go buy his music. Go follow him on all his socials. We're going to have him back on the show, go a little deeper dive into his life resume, which, by the way, we've just touched on just a portion of.
Lost the surface.
It's just, I mean, I'm excited to have you back and just have more of an in-depth conversation with you, because I can just imagine everybody's going to be like, dude, that was too short. Get him back. So we'll get you back.
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much for having me.
Truly appreciate your time. And again, I'm sorry I had to bounce a couple times with, you know, the damn irrigated lot. You have to, you know, be responsible so you don't flood your neighbors out. God forbid.
It's all good, brother. It's all good.
So until next time, we'll see you. Peace. Love you, brother.
Peace. Love you too, man. Thanks, Sean.
Much love.